Okay, so where we left off, we got our cam our camshaft put on and everything. We set the engine at top dead center. We've got our rocker arms. We've got to loosen them. We've got to adjust our valves. It's important that when we adjust our valves, we are top dead center of the intake stroke All right. Make sure you understand what that means. Okay. Make sure you understand what that means. We're going to loosen our adjusting nuts here, okay? And then we're going to find what those need to be adjusted at. There is usually um, a, a tolerance, and what I mean by tolerance, there's a minimum and a maximum. I usually go right about in the middle of those numbers, okay? I'm not going to give you the numbers. It's your job to look them up and find them. All right. And so we're going to take our feeler gauge. We're going to run it in between the top of our the top of our trying to get this to where it's set up straight so it won't fall over. The top of our retainer spring and the top of our, and let me grab my buddies over here so you can see the top of our bolt right here. So our filler gauge is going to run right in here. Okay. And this little spot right there. Now you want it, you want to adjust it down so that it's snug enough that you can slide your feeler gauge in and out okay. You want to be able to slide your feeler gauge in and out without it getting hung up, or you want a little bit of drag on it. You want it to be able to feel. Um, you want it to be able to feel that. You want it to be able to feel that tension on there. Okay, and then we're going to set our torque, and you'll need to find what those specifications are. Oh, that's a 9 millimeter, not an 8. Grab the wrong size socket. All right, and so very gently, okay, and again, very gently, just till you hear it like so. Okay, and then I'm going to check it again. I'm going to check it again just to make sure. Yeah, I still feel a little drag on there, but I'm also going to check it at its top end number. Okay, at its top end number just to make sure. Matter of fact, I'm going to go one above the top end number. Okay, and I can't get one above the top end number in there, so I know I'm good. Okay, I know that I'm good. So I'm going to keep those two out for my next one. All right. Okay, that feels pretty good. Let me put a little torque in action on it. Okay, that's all you need is just that one little click. Now I'm going to check it and make sure that the top end one, oh, that top one goes in there. So I'm going to have to break it loose. Adjust it down a little bit more. Okay, I like that. Let's torque it again. And you want to be careful. You don't want to torque these bolts too many times because every time you torque them, you stretch them. Okay. Don't want to drop my engine on the floor. Okay. Still got that. And think that'll work. All right. I think that one will work. All right. Now we're going to put our oil pan back on. But before we do that, um, we've got some gasket sealer here. And so what I might have to do here, let me see. Let's see what we can do here. It may be dried up, so I may have to get a little creative with this. Let's see what we can do here. So we've got our bond stuff here, and so we're going to take some, and I'm going to put it along the edges here. Don't be worried about getting it on your fingers. Okay, it'll come off. I promise you. You don't want too much, just a thin coat, a thin layer. Okay, just enough to kind of turn it black. All along the edge here. Don't get too much on the dowel pins if you can help it. Okay. And it's not an exact science, ladies and gentlemen, but that's kind of what it should be looking like. All right. And then you can take your handy dandy little rag. It'll wipe right off. And we want to make sure we keep our cap on it. Okay. Now, because I've got oil on this one, I'm going to do this just a little bit different. Um, and it'll just sit right down on there. And then we're going to take our head bolts and we're going to start running them in. Okay. I got tools everywhere and I love it. Tools everywhere and I love it. Okay. Number 9. Nope, 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 nope. No, this is a number 10. And that's not a 10, that's an 8. That's a 9. There's my 10 right there. And we're just going to run them up snug. These are going to have to be torqued as well. Okay. This is the most tedious part of the job. Obviously, in most shops, you would probably have air tools to be doing this stuff with. But we have, that's not blood, that's just black stuff from the. Okay. Now, of course, I could take these and speed ratchet them on. Oh, turn the ratchet around. And we're just going to snug them up. There is a specific pattern that we have to follow, like when you are fastening or when you're tightening up your the wheels on your, the lug nuts on your car. You just don't go around and tighten them up in a circle because the wheel will not, the rim will not get on there properly. Okay, and so same thing when tightening down the oil pan. There's a certain pattern that we got to follow. It's in the book. It's on the video. Make sure you know what that pattern is before you start trying to torque down. Before you start trying to torque down these bolts. Okay. Make sure you know what the pattern is. Make sure you know what these, what the torque pattern is. Make sure you know what the specs are. And then we got 2 down here in this hole. And I should have one more head bolt somewhere. Where'd it go? Ah, there it is, Mr. Clark. I found it. I'm so happy. Okay, now we're going to set our torque wrench. I'm going to find out what my torque specifications are going to be for the cylinder head cover, and it tells me right there. So I'm going to set my wrench as such. There. And I know what the torque pattern is, and so I'm going to go ahead and start torquing. Not twerking, torquing. Okay, and then I'm just going to double check them and make sure that they're all, and again, check them in the same pattern. Now, you noticed Mr. Clark was kind of a smart aleck, and I kept the engine turned towards me so you couldn't see the bolts. All right, all right. And it's really pretty simple. You're just going to star. You're just going to star them. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. There you go. All right. Next, we're going to put our valve cover on there. We're going to put our valve cover on there. Right. And I didn't take time to clean out the gasket material here, but we will do that. Okay. And then we will also put some sealant on this. And this, there's not a lot of pressure on this, but you still want to put some sealant on there, just enough to kind of seal this up. You want to remember that your tab goes on the front right there. And if you bend it a little bit while you're trying to take it off, just go ahead and straighten it back up a little bit with a little tapping of the little persuasion of the hot metal. Okay, very simple to do. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we are pretty close to having our engines put back together. I'm going to torque this down. We're going to call it a day after I torque this down. And about the only thing we've got left to put on will be the carburetor and the ignition assembly. So I'm going to find the torque uh, uh, for my cylinder head. Nope, nope, nope. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So I found it. So I'm going to set it and I'm going to adjust it. And the same thing, you typically want to star this one as well. So I'm going to tighten this one up. And then I'm going to come right straight across and do the same thing over here with this one. And then right straight back over here to this one. And then right here to this one. And then I'm going to go ahead and set it in the hole and go ahead and check them. Very, very good. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you in the shop. I'm out.